Welcome everyone. This is Deepak Chopra from the Dot Connected YouTube channel. Today I'm very happy and excited to invite one of my best friend and a wonderful coach from Vancouver, Bippan Dhillon. She is from software industry and serving and working as a Scrum Master in such a great organizations. Presently she is working with Nike also. So Bippan Dhillon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Deepak. It's really wonderful to be here.
Awesome. So, Bippan, why don't you just share, something about yourself, what exactly you do, and anything about yourself to introduce to the audience?
Yeah. So, let's see here. I really got more interested in software development and how software works because I actually had a startup company. I started I want to say in 2010, and inside of that, I got really, really, really interested in servicing customers online, and that was kind of what sparked my true passion and interest in being a Scrum Master. Otherwise, I have two wonderful children at home, and I've been married for over 20 years.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Bippan. And Bippan, reason I requested you to give your valuable time to our audience today is because one of the intention of our channel is to, inspire people out there and give them some information. What are the opportunities available out there once it comes to profession or business or any kind of things related to that? When you shared about Scrum Master with me when I first met you in our TMLP program, I was very surprised by hearing that name because that was the very first time I came to know this profession also exists. So thank you so much for giving your time today, and I would love to request you to share about your journey and something about this profession so that people out there can also get to know this is also something available which can give them great recognition and wonderful career to serve the organizations. So what I did, Bippan, whenever we bring any special guest speaker like you, we simply share that information to our audience through social media. Like this subject matter expert is coming, and if you have any particular questions, please reach out to us so that we can ask those questions to them, and they'll be able to answer one by one so that you get all the information which is requiring for you if you ever choose to become a Scrum Master. So I got some questions, and with your permission, I can go one by one. Should we get started?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Awesome. So very interesting. Everyone is asking me, what is Scrum Master?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And essentially, Scrum Masters are people that work in agile teams, right? So what an agile team is a team of usually 5 to 8 people that are working together to deliver what we say increments of value, right? So in large organizations, there's many, many, many things that are happening, but we try and break that work out so that teams have a really clear idea of what they're doing and they can deliver that work on their own. And so when teams work together, inside of an agile team, you have the team members, which all have specialized skills. So typically speaking, in software, when you're delivering software, you have what you call a Scrum Master, which is my role. And then you have like a product owner, which if you can think about, they're kind of the CEO of this small team, right? They're the ones that are going to make the final decisions. The Scrum Master's role inside of that team is to facilitate and coach the team, right? So my role is really inside of looking to see how can we continue to deliver value and do it in the most performing, like the highest performing way, or to deliver the most amount of economic value. And so my role is really to coach the team inside of our processes that are going to deliver the most value and the best outcomes for our customer.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
And Bippan, does it require any sort of certification, or is that like some sort of college degree or university degree or what?
Yeah. So as a Scrum Master, I for myself, I have a bachelor's degree. Not everybody has to have a bachelor's degree, and then you need a certification as a Scrum Master. So there's different organizations that provide those certifications. One of the well-known ones is Scrum Alliance. And so there's different kinds of the most popular ones certifications for Scrum Masters is called the CSM, a Certified Scrum Master. And or the other one is through the Scaled Agile Framework, and that is a SSM. And so they're unique. One is inside of a particular type of agile framework, but not all companies use it. And then CSM is the one that's more broad. So if you have a little bit of a software development background, or you've worked for different companies that do that kind of thing, you can go out and get this certification. It actually doesn't take very much to get into it. It's a weekend course, and you can do it for, about $500-$600 or something like that to get the certification.
So one of those three which you mentioned, any one of those is approximately, costing them $500-$600, and it's
Yeah.
a weekend course. So Bippan, what I'm hearing is you said software experience is basically is good if they have it. So it does not mean any software degree, like anything like into BTech in computer science or something like that. Nothing that sort of, right?
Yeah, you know what? When it comes to Scrum Masters, depending on the technicality of the team, right? How technical the team is. Sometimes it does benefit to have a little bit of that development background or some of that technical expertise. But if it's not too technical, then really even a business degree, which is what I have a business degree, but I've been in this environment of where around web development and what have you, different software solutions. Because of that, I'm able to pick it up from the experience of just the nature of being in that kind of environment.
Got it. Perfect.
Yeah.
And Bippan, another question which we got from the audience is, so what kind of organizations basically hire Scrum Master? Are they basically, manufacturing big units like Nike, as you mentioned, like, you work for Nike, or maybe some small manufacturing unit if anybody's having construction related work, or maybe professionals like, doctors or real estate brokerages, mortgage brokerages, accountant. So what kind of people hire Scrum Masters?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. Scrum Masters are typically hired by companies, software companies. So now, even though you might think of Nike, you might not see, oh, they're a software company. Nowadays, everybody is a software company, right? Because of the digital age we live in, that's become the new normal, right? That's every company has a website. Every company sends you an email notification when they've delivered something. So every company is a software company nowadays, and it's really inside of these large organizations that the need for Scrum Masters have arisen. Now, a lot of the principles that Scrum Masters apply can be applied in any organization, and we can get to talking about that.
Yes, we have that question also. We can come to that question later. So,
Yeah.
so far what I'm hearing is, big manufacturing unit who are so much into this software. Like, when it's a software, it covers basically all technology, right? People have to have, do the digitalization of their businesses, having those social media, having those CRM, or maybe their internal, software like, SAP or something like that. And what I'm hearing, though I'm not technical, I'm having my, management degree and I'm into real estate brokerage, but just as a layman or as an, independent observer, what I'm hearing is something related to the systems and procedures and SOPs and something like that, correct?
Yeah, exactly. It's the integration of all of those different applications. Nowadays, what we're talking about more often is artificial intelligence, big data, how to aggregate data, and then use that for better decision making.
Wow. And all that interconnected in the job of Scrum Master.
Yeah, it's, as a Scrum Master, you get to really see it all, and see various types of work being done in the industry.
But another thing which is coming to my mind, how this Scrum Master is different from project management certification. When you mentioned initially, like you have a team of 5-6 people and everyone have different skill set, and you guys take a project, just break it down chunk by chunk, and just create some sort of responsibilities and timeline, and get the follow-up thing, and finally get to the result. So is it different from project management certification? Aren't the project manager doing the same thing?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I'm so glad you asked that. So typically, when you think of a project, you think of a start date and an end date, right? Like, to put it into perspective, when you think about real estate, you might build a house and it starts on a particular date and it ends, right? Like you have a start and end date, and that might be considered a project. With software development and the nature of being in this kind of industry, in the tech industry, is that it's never ending, right? The environment and the market is consistently changing. And so this type of working in this environment came from the need to how do you continue to deliver as a team when each quarter what you're delivering might change, right? We create a roadmap that is towards the vision of the organization, the strategic vision, but we don't create it so final that we can't change it. We need to be able to have that flexibility to change it if the market conditions change, right? Like for instance, with COVID happening, right? You want to be able to, if that project isn't now going to work in this new environment, you would put the brakes on it, So, and the other thing with project management is typically, like I said, you have the budget and the timeline and all of those things scoped out prior to starting. With this type of work, you say we have 5 resources and you have 3 months to deliver. What can you do in that time? So do you see what I'm saying? So the resources and your time are fixed, and therefore then the scope is what you might decide is going to change.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, Bippan, this is more of related to some sort of shorter projects, as you mentioned, couple them 90 days or 3 months kind of project. Is that something related to Scrum Master? They just do the short term things, or if somebody have five years plan or 10 years plan, and can Scrum Master and their team work on those long term plan also?
Yeah. So no, actually, I must have misspoken. What I was trying to say around it is that with projects, you typically there's an end and a start date, right? So with Scrum Master or the kinds of projects you're on, they could be, they're never ending.
Yeah.
Right? Like say if I'm on the team that is responsible for managing the checkout on a website, right? And putting in new promotions or changing the interface of how the checkout works, because now, say for instance, we're going to start accepting PayPal instead of just accepting credit cards or something, right? So it's now there's that consistent that like I said, the market is constantly changing, so now how we do the checkout might change. But there's always going to be a need for the checkout system on a website. It's never like it's not going to ever go. It's not like it's going to ever go away, unless for some reason we went to some other system. But then for instance, when we pivoted to mobile first, right? Now it's all about designing inside of mobile, and then having it work for the website, because that's how customers are interacting nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bippan, also please share an ideal day, a particular day in a Scrum Master's life, how it look like. So if you can just share into the very simple form, if let's say for example somebody's out there like me who heard first time the word Scrum Master and they have little bit of knowledge into software industry and that career might inspire them. So if they want to know how a day in the life of Scrum Master look like, please elaborate that.
Yeah. So I love what I do every day. So this is great. Um, so how my day might begin is I would almost always start my day by taking a look at what I would say our board is, right? So I would look at the board and I would look at, so how we manage things is we have, um, we have what we call a backlog. And so we take some of those items in our backlog. So think of a backlog as like a to-do list, right? And obviously, with a big, large company or whatever, any company, you're going to have long to-do lists, right? But you're going to take that list and you're going to say, what are the highest priorities? And you're going to move those into the week or 2 weeks, or however you've planned it. And then the team would identify which of that work that they're going to do. So I would start my day by first checking to see, has that work progressed? Or is it still where it was yesterday? Or did I expect it to change, but it didn't change? Right. And so I would take a look at the board, see if there's any new comments, any new details in there. And I might ask a question or something offline. But typically I would wait till we have what we call a daily stand-up. So a daily stand-up is a 15-minute meeting, and it's exactly what it's suggested. It's intended for you to stand up. So when your turn comes, you stand up, you share, and you usually share from 3 questions. What did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? And what blockers or impediments are in your way of actually having that complete? And so, then you start to find out, oh, like, we're waiting on this team to get this approved. Or I don't have the right information to actually work on this. Or this has become a lot more work than we thought. So you start to look for, where can we make changes in the way that we're doing things if the team is blocked. So it's up to the team to share with us, with me, or like with the team itself, where the status of their work is. Now they're doing that inside of the context of the goal, that particular sprint. So when I say sprint, we plan in 2 weeks, usually, or 1 week, however long. You get to define what we call a period of time that's fixed. It's called a cadence, right? And think about, like, in a quarter, most companies work quarterly, right? And in that quarter, companies can say, oh, we're going to work in 2-week sprints or 3-week sprints. And so the plan is that by the end of that sprint, you'll deliver something. And so we work inside of, okay, as a team, we have this goal, and every single person has something to do that's going to help us achieve on that goal.
So basically, when you work on any project, I think you speculate and unfold all those actionable steps, and you make accountable for different things, and you give them the timeline, and then you basically follow and observe and review the plan every single day, and see what is missing, and so that they can cover the breakdowns also, and they can stay on track for the future development. Correct?
Yeah, exactly. So, the idea is that we catch it early if there's something that is in the, that if there isn't a problem happening, we catch it early, where I can still then make a difference. I can make a phone call. I can send an email. I can, we can interrupt that early enough if everyone is in communication.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bippan. There are a couple more questions which I would like to request you to answer. If we can please also explain what kind of results those organizations have produced or basically are able to produce if they have a team of Scrum Master in place.
Yeah.
Any practical scenario, which I really request you to share here?
So our work is planned in what I would say what we call story points, right? So when we estimate work, we might say, oh, that's 2 points and that's 4 points. We'll bring that up at maybe a future conversation. We won't get into that now. But the idea is that when you start to work with teams and you get them more high performing, the benefits are is that they're happier, right? Because they're now no longer like confused and trying to figure out who's doing what. There's more communication happening. So naturally, there's a happiness level, right? Now, companies don't hire Scrum Masters just for the sake of having them be happy, right? They want the Scrum Master to be there actually producing results. And so, what that looks like is that teams become more predictable. They can we at the end of our working together, okay, that that we deliver this much value in each sprint. So that helps companies plan when they're going to say, yes, we're going to do this, or no, we're not. So predictability is an important part of what it looks like to be a Scrum Master. And so when you help teams become high performing, exactly like the predictable, how their performance is going to become more predictable. In addition, their performance, what they get accomplished, will start to increase. Yeah, so they can get more done in a shorter period of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, by removing anything that could be in the way of that.
Yeah, you said one thing so wonderful, like people feel happy at the workplace. I read in one book, I don't recall that author or the name of the book exactly, but he mentioned into the book like the biggest issue in the organization is people don't have the clear and concise job responsibilities. What they are supposed to produce, what is expected from them, is not exactly mentioned to them, or they're not aware of that. At the time of a quarterly review or semi-annually review or annual review, their performance come into play. But there is no such system in place which can clearly guide them and educate them. Okay, this is the timeline. In this quarter, we're expecting this from you. If you are trained in this thing, great. And if you are not, let us know. We can arrange that training also. So I believe this being a Scrum Master team in place will be taking care of those kind of things to explain the job responsibilities and expectations from employees very clearly.
One of the things that I do as a Scrum Master is I often help create psychological safety, right? So one of the things that I didn't get a chance to share on was so inside of the 2 weeks that we work, as I mentioned, we do a daily stand-up, but we also plan, we also estimate, and then we also take a moment to look at what went well in that sprint and what didn't go so well. And so if you don't bring that level of safety, or that people can make mistakes, or that they can say, you know what, I actually don't have the right skills for this. Or I can say, hey, I see you struggling with this. Is this the right fit for you? Do you have the right skills to deliver this? And they can have that. There's no fearing any consequence, because I'm there to just have them win, and for everybody to win, and for us to deliver the value that we want to deliver. So that's really one of the benefits as well, for that creates that level of happiness, is that I'm kind of that person that's making sure that the team is getting all of the information they need so they can actually deliver on what I mentioned before, a product owner needs them to deliver on, right? So if the product owner isn't doing a very good job of explaining it, it's also up to them to figure out, how can I be more clear in my communication so that the team knows exactly what it looks like to have this be accomplished.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. People, another thing, is it something a full-time position, or this is more of contract work, maybe for 1 year, for 1 quarter, or any particular project, or maybe somebody who is in this industry, if they want to be self-employed, can they simply go reach out to organizations and ask them, okay, let us review whatever the area of your struggle is, and we can put a system in place, that Scrum Master team in place, and we can make that workable, and then they can charge the money whatever they're supposed to charge. So how this is working as a career opportunity?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. So there's many organizations that have full-time Scrum Masters. Nike has full-time Scrum Masters. So for myself, I actually work for a contract company and they contract me to Nike, right? And so, but that's very natural in today's workforce because of the nature of change, right? So agility means the ability, you think about agility physically, right? It's the ability to make quick decisions and change, right? Change directions. In a football game, you have to think about it. You want team players that are agile, that can quickly grab the ball and go the other way. So, yeah, so the nature of the industry has also a lot of people working as contractors, because then that way they can say, okay, you know what, the organization is changing directions and we want to go this way. Okay, we're going to have some of these contractors roll off and then we'll put more money towards this other thing. So that's just the way the nature of the industry has evolved. Otherwise, so what I'm doing right now, what I'm working on right now is is to become a safe program consultant. So as a consultant, I can come in and consult companies that are getting ready to implement agile solutions into their organization. Usually they want to become more profitable, or there's a cultural change they're trying to achieve, or they've just seen the long-term benefits of, they see that in order to stay more competitive, they need to bring in this kind of a cultural change so that they can keep up, really. When you look at why business agility is so important, especially for large corporate companies tend to have a very huge hierarchy set in place, right? You think of HR, and then there's all of these directors and what have you. And so there's all of these, sometimes getting change through takes a long time.
Yeah.
But to be competitive in the world, you need to move quickly. You can't wait for somebody to make this change and then do that. So it's really about bridging those two things together. But getting back to your question. So you can work as a consultant, and then you can also work within organizations either as a full-time or contractor.
So, Bippan, thank you so much for answering all those wonderful questions. Now, I have one, request for you. Every time when I request any guest speaker or subject matter expert like you to come to these kind of sessions, I always request them what valuable information you can share so that people out there who will be watching this episode can get value for their businesses, for their professions, and for their careers. So I would like to request you to share some 3 or 4 good tips for all those small or mid-sized business owners out there, which they can implement in their businesses from Scrum Master perspective, and they can get their productivity, efficiency, or profitability to the next level, and they can also maybe consider hiring people like you or any Scrum Master out there to expand their businesses.
Okay, wonderful. So when you think about how do you grow fast in the quickest way you possibly can, that comes from going ahead and making those mistakes, taking those risks, and then stopping to learn from them as well, right? So one of the things that we do that I really invite every business owner to do is to do a retrospective, what we call in this work an inspect and adapt. So in our work, we're constantly looking to see what worked, what didn't work, and um, what kinds of actions do we want to take moving forward. So you should at least be doing that once a quarter. Like I said, we do that once a quarter, and we also do it in every sprint cycle. And that's because we want teams to take risks. We want them, we want to invite and we want to create an environment of where team says, hey, I really want to take on a new way of doing something, or I want to learn a new technique or something to that degree. And so that's one thing I would suggest, is to have a learning cycle built into the work that you do. The other thing is that one of the principles that we really pride ourselves on is having a continuous learning environment. So, how you talked about reading a book? Consider having a book club, where everyone in the, like you have a team of people that are reading the same book and they get to talk about it. And then maybe they'll take away one or two action items that they can implement from the book into their workplace. So this creates more engagement. It creates people being more happier and more involved in the work. And give something new and interesting, and people want to feel challenged with new and interesting ways of doing things. So that's another thing I would definitely suggest. In our work, we always say face-to-face interactions are always best. And so anytime there's a conflict of any kind, or anywhere there could be miscommunication or misunderstandings around what is being expected of somebody. The first thing you want to do is always have people come together face to face. And so it really comes to the larger things you're planning. So say if in your organization, Deepak, you're going to start, can you name something that you're building an initiative towards, or maybe you're going to open a new location, let's just say, right?
Yes, you can take that example. Or what I'm planning in my organization right now is to have a proper onboarding process in place. Like, when any of the new real estate agent is joining my brokerage, they have their, the complete book ready in their hand from step A to Z. Okay, these are the actionable steps. Like, maybe that's 90 days game plan or 100 days game plan. So I'm in the process of making those SOPs and, CCPs.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. So what you'd want to do is, rather than doing it on your own or defining what you think it looks like on your own, you might want to say, hey, this is what, in our work, we call it having acceptance criteria, right? It means like, what's done? What would success look like is really the question that we ask. And you could make it simple as just saying, success looks like by week 3, a real estate agent has gotten the licenses. They've got whatever they need, right? They've got their computer set up. They've got all of the things that you need. Or maybe you want to just say, hey, you know what? I want, it could be even, you want to be a bit specific, right? What's going to differentiate, or what's going to make it unique, or what's going to make it clear, right? What does success look like? And then you can just hand that over to your team. Hey, you know what? When we get new people coming in at 6 months, I want them to achieve this target.
Yes.
And then you let your team decide, how are they going to get there? What steps do they think that it's going to take? And then by letting the team self-organize, which is what we call that, they're more empowered. And they're more empowered because they help design how to achieve that goal. So it really makes a difference when you're giving other people that leadership opportunity. That is how you actually create high-performing, self-organizing teams, which is what success looks like for a Scrum Master.
Wow, that's really wonderful, insight, Bippan. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm also planning to maybe bring, to you in one of our weekly meeting or our monthly meeting to my team via Zoom so that we can share some information and we can maybe work on one particular subject to get more clear idea how this Scrum Master would look like.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That'd be so much fun.
Awesome. So, Bippan, thank you so very much. I really, really want to acknowledge you for giving your valuable time for our audience. And this is what my passion is to, invite all those guest speakers and experts like you and request them to share their journey, what profession they are in, what success stories they have, so that anybody out there who is starting up or want to have a different career or want to go to the next level in their profession, they can get some value out of it. And you accepted my request. I really thank you for that, for giving your time. So, Bippan, I'm sure people must be having some more questions once they see this episode. Can you please share your email, how they can contact you if they want to have further discussion about this role or if they need some more information?
Yeah. Before I do that, I want to take a moment and say, I think what you're doing here is so wonderful. I think that oftentimes when people are choosing the career or whatever they want to pursue, it's so nice to be able to hear from people that are in the position. What is it like? What do you do? Yeah, so I really acknowledge you for bringing this programming to everyone. Yeah, so if anybody wants to reach out to me, they can reach me at bippan.k.dhillon@gmail.com.
Perfect. And I will also put that link of your email to the description box, Bippan, once we upload this episode. And guys, you can also reach out to me at info@deepakchopra.ca and my cell number is 780-710-6435. I'll be very happy to connect you with Bippan for any of your further questions and concerns, or if anything else you need to know about being a Scrum Master. So Bippan, thank you so very much once again. You have a lovely rest of the evening. Take care.
Thank you. You too.